The phone screen blazed. A photograph detonated across the trending list like a bomb. In the photo, inside the VIP lounge of a maternity hospital, a man in a white dress shirt leaned down, his face hovering close to a pregnant woman's belly. His smile was so tender it could drip with honey. The woman, her belly round with 5 or 6 months of pregnancy, clung to his arm, radiant as a princess cherished by the whole world. That man was my husband of 3 years, Liu Xiqing, the youngest captain at Jojo Airlines. The Diamond Bachelor, in the eyes of countless flight attendants, was right now accompanying another woman to her prenatal checkup. I zoomed in on the photo, zoomed in again. I could make out the watch on his wrist, the Patek Philippe I had given him for my birthday last year. Back then, he had wrapped his arms around me and said, "Yuan, I'll only ever wear the watch you gave me for the rest of my life." Hot. My fingers slid down. The comment section was buzzing like it was new. Year's Eve, oh my god, isn't that Captain Liu? Isn't his wife the heiress of the Lin Group? Heiress, I heard she's long fallen out of favor. 3 years, and she couldn't give him a single child. Look at Song Qingqing, she's already showing. Inside scoop, Song Qingqing is Captain Liu's first love. She's back now with his kid. The original wife is probably done for. Feel sorry for the original wife +1, but in these wealthy marriages, not having a child is the original sin. I flipped my phone face down on the table and picked up the Americano in front of me, took a sip. The coffee was ice cold. Bitterness slid from the tip of my tongue all the way down to my stomach, the exact same taste as the last 3 years of marriage. The phone screen lit up again, a WeChat message. Liu Xiqing, Yuan, wait for me at home tonight. I brought you a gift. I have something to talk to you about, something to talk about. I knew exactly what he was going to say. Nothing more than Qingqing is pregnant. Her health is fragile. I have to take care of her, or be sensible. She won't threaten your position, or maybe there's no love left between us anymore. Let's part amicably. 3 years. I could guess exactly how many times he had rehearsed those words in his head. I picked up my phone and replied, "Okay, I'll wait for you." Then I opened the folder in front of me and pulled out the divorce agreement I had already signed. I read it over once. Under the property division section, it read, "I want nothing, all the houses, cars, and bank accounts under Liu Xiqing's name, including the 3-carat engagement ring he had given me when he proposed. I wouldn't take a single cent. I would only take myself, and the last shred of dignity that had been worn down over these 3 years." I tucked the divorce agreement into my bag, stood up, and dragged my suitcase toward the airport departure hall. The suitcase was 20 inches. It held only a few changes of clothes and my passport. It wasn't that I couldn't take more, I just didn't want to. Every designer bag, haute couture dress, and piece of jewelry was bought with his money. I'd leave them all for that pregnant Song Qingqing. At the check-in counter, I handed over my passport and boarding pass. The ground attendant scanned them, then looked up with a smile. "Ms. Lin, you're on flight MU 7023 to Milan, correct? Here's your boarding pass, first class. Have a wonderful trip." I took the boarding pass and glanced at the flight number MU 7023. The flight Liu Xiqing was supposed to be piloting. That's right, I had booked this one on purpose. When I saw the trending post this morning, my first reaction wasn't to cry, it was to open the airline app and check the flight schedule. I wanted to know, when he was accompanying his mistress to a prenatal checkup, did he even remember he had a flight today? And what did I find? He had taken leave. For flight MU 7023 to Milan, the captain slot read Liu Xiqing. On leave, the actual piloting would be handled by the first officer. He had skipped his own flight just to be with that woman at her checkup. Perfect. Then I would take this flight. I would fly on the very plane he was supposed to be piloting, and leave the city, leave this place I once called home. By the time he finished his prenatal visit and came back with his so-called gift, he would push open the door to an empty house. The only thing waiting for him on the coffee table would be the wedding ring he had placed on my finger. With his own hands, security, customs, the waiting lounge, the entire process, I was eerily calm, so calm it scared me. When the boarding announcement rang out, I switched my phone to airplane mode. The screen still showed the last message Liu Xiqing had sent me. He probably thought I was waiting obediently at home. "Don't make a scene, I'll be with you tonight." That was his reply after I sent, "Okay, I'll wait for you, don't make a scene." So in his eyes, my 3 years of silent endurance, my 3 Years of waiting, my 3 years of self-deception, it was all just a scene. I stood up and walked with the crowd toward the boarding gate. The jet bridge was blindingly bright, so bright it stung my eyes. I dragged my suitcase forward, one step at a time. With every step, I felt something peeling away from me. The title of Mrs. Liu, 3 years of grievances, the sobs I had swallowed in the dead of night, the moment I stepped into the cabin. The familiar environment made me pause. I had come to pick him up from work before. When he walked out of the cockpit in his uniform, he was truly captivating. Back then, I thought, this man is mine. How wonderful. Now, all I wanted to do was laugh. A first-class flight attendant approached me, her smile polished to perfection. Ms. Lin, welcome aboard. Please, this way. Your seat is 2A. I nodded and handed her my boarding pass to confirm. She glanced at it, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Ms. Lin, are you Captain Liu's wife? Oh, what a coincidence. This flight was supposed to be piloted by Captain Liu today, but he took emergency leave. Something about a family matter. Family matter, right. Accompanying his mistress to a prenatal checkup. That was definitely a family matter. I smiled but didn't respond. She probably thought I didn't know what the family matter was. She kept chatting enthusiastically. Captain Liu is such a wonderful person. All the girls in the crew really admire him. He's handsome, charming, and he absolutely dotes on his wife. He talks about you all the time, says you're so gentle and so virtuous. Do you have champagne? I interrupted her. She blinked, caught off guard, then quickly nodded. Yes, we have Dom Perignon in first class. I'll pour you a glass right away. I sat down, sinking into the plush seat, and gazed through the window at the tarmac outside. The ground service vehicles bustled back and forth, luggage being loaded piece by piece into the cargo hold. In the distance, an airplane was taking off, its roar muffled through the window. Dull and heavy, like a heartbeat, the flight attendant quickly arrived with champagne, the golden liquid gently swaying in the stemware. Ms. Lin, your champagne. May I help you put your bag up? No, I'll do it myself. I placed my bag on the seat beside me, pulled out the divorce agreement, and flipped it open for a glance. The last clause read, this agreement shall take effect from the date of signing by both parties. Liu Sikan hadn't signed yet, but it didn't matter, as long as I was gone. Whether he signed or not was irrelevant. The Lin family's legal team would handle the rest. My father, though furious that I insisted on marrying him back then, wouldn't abandon me at a critical moment. The flight attendant came again, this time to hand out warm towels and nuts. As she bent down, she whispered to her colleague beside her, Hey, didn't Captain Liu take the day off today to accompany that Miss Song for her prenatal checkup? I saw the trending topic, photos are out. The other attendant quickly shot her a warning glance, subtly nodding in my direction. The girl's face paled, and she forced an awkward smile before scurrying away. I held my champagne glass, gazing out the window, the corners of my mouth slowly curling upward. The plane began to taxi. A voice from the first officer came over the intercom, reminding passengers to fasten their seatbelts and turn off electronic devices. I didn't shut down my phone. Instead, I opened WeChat and scrolled to my chat history with Liu Sikan. The last message was his. Don't be difficult, I'll spend the evening with you. I tapped the input box and typed 2 words, goodbye, sent. Then I powered off the phone and tossed it into my bag. The plane accelerated down the runway, the roar growing louder. A slight jolt, the landing gear lifted off. Through the window, the ground grew farther away, houses shrinking into matchboxes, highways into thin threads. The entire city sprawled before me, then was swallowed by clouds. I leaned back in my seat, picked up the unfinished champagne, and raised it toward the sea of clouds outside the window. Liu Sikan, while you were accompanying her for her prenatal checkup, I was flying right over your head, and you had no idea. 12 hours later, when you find the house empty and realize I'm gone, when you discover I took the flight you were supposed to captain yourself, when you finally understand that the woman named Lin Yuan has truly left, what expression will you have? I suddenly felt a flicker of curiosity, but it was only a flicker, because by then, I would already be basking in the Milan sun, starting my new life. The champagne was finished. The flight attendant came to collect the glass. Ms. Lin, would you like another? No, I think I'll sleep for a while. Very well. Please rest. If you need anything, just press the call button. I pulled down the window shade, adjusted the seat to lie flat, covered myself with a blanket, and closed my eyes. The steady hum of the plane's engines filled my ears, like a silent farewell. Goodbye, Liu Sikan, goodbye to 3 years of foolishness. This time, I won't look back. Chapter 2, Silent Takeoff. After the plane leveled off, The lights in first class dimmed slightly and my eyes were closed, but I wasn't really asleep. Scenes from the past 3 years played through my mind like a movie, frame by frame. On our wedding day, Lou Sikhen held my hand as we toasted the guests, saying to the crowded hall, "Marrying Yuan is the greatest luck of my life." On our first anniversary, he flew back overnight from an international route, standing at our doorstep with roses, still in his uniform, smiling as he said, "Happy anniversary, honey." The second year, he started working late more often, coming home later and later, occasionally carrying a faint scent of perfume. When I asked, he said it was from crew gatherings, told me not to overthink it. The third year, this year, he didn't even bother pretending anymore. My phone wasn't with me, but I could imagine the commotion back on the ground. The trending topic was probably still up, netizens arguing in the comments. Song Ching was likely capitalizing on the drama, maybe already contacting marketing accounts to draft a sympathy post, and Lou Sikhen, he had probably just finished accompanying her to the prenatal checkup, dropping her off at home, then heading out to buy some so-called gift. Maybe a bag, maybe jewelry, something to make it up to me. He still thought I was the Lin Yuan who could be pacified with a few sweet words. He was wrong. Ms. Lin, the flight attendant's voice broke through. "Are you awake? We're starting the main meal service. Would you like to eat?" I opened my eyes and sat up. "Yes, thank you." She pulled out the tray table, laid down a tablecloth, and served course after course. First-class meals were indeed impressive. The appetizer was caviar with blinis. The main course offered a choice between steak and lobster, and the dessert was tiramisu. I picked up my knife and fork, cut a piece of steak, and put it in my mouth. The meat was tender, cooked perfectly. The flight attendant leaned in to introduce it softly. "Ms. Lin, this steak is imported from Italy, paired with a red wine from the Tuscany region." "How many crew members are on this flight?" I suddenly asked. She paused, startled, but answered honestly, 3 in first class, 4 in business class, 8 in economy, plus the flight crew, 23 in total. "Captain Liu didn't come today. What's the first officer like?" "The first officer is excellent. His name is Zhou Yu, the youngest first officer in our company. He's handsome too, but a bit cold, doesn't talk much." She lowered her voice. "But his flying skills are rock solid, you can rest assured." I nodded and didn't ask further. Zhou Yu, I'd heard that name before. He was a first officer Lou Sikhen had mentored. He'd even come to our house for dinner once. Back then, he was new to the company, and Lou Sikhen was his instructor, always bragging to everyone, "Little Zhou is a real talent." Now the apprentice was flying intercontinental routes on his own, while the mentor was busy accompanying his mistress to prenatal checkups. Ridiculous. After the meal, I went to the restroom to freshen up. The mirror reflected a face free of makeup, the same features, but the eyes had changed. 3 years ago, those eyes were soft, looking at everything with anticipation. Now, they were as calm as still water, too indifferent even for hatred. I smiled at myself in the mirror and suddenly noticed the curve of my lips was actually quite beautiful. So leaving him wouldn't kill me, wouldn't make me ugly, wouldn't break me. That was good. I settled back into my seat, and the flight attendant had already transformed it into a comfortable bed. I lay down, pulled the blanket up to my chin, and this time, I truly fell asleep. No dreams, or if there were, I couldn't remember them. 10 hours later, the plane began its descent. A voice came through the speakers, Zhou Yu's. "Low and cool, ladies and gentlemen, this is First Officer Zhou Yu. The aircraft has begun its descent. We are approximately 40 minutes from landing at Milan Malpensa Airport. The local ground temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. Skies clear. Thank you for choosing Jeju Airlines. We wish you a pleasant stay in Milan." I sat up and opened the window shade. Beyond the glass, the sky was a vast blue. Below, I could see the snow-capped peaks of the Alps, gleaming white under the sun. The plane cut through the clouds, descending slowly, and the fields, houses, and roads came into focus bit by bit. Italy, Milan. I had finally arrived. The plane touched down smoothly and taxied to the gate. A slight vibration signaled the docking of the jet bridge, and the cabin chimed with the sound of seatbelt signs being turned off. I turned on my phone. After the boot screen flickered, messages flooded in like snowflakes. Missed calls, 32. WeChat messages, 67, all from one person, Lou Sikhen. The earliest was from 12 hours ago, not long after I sent that goodbye and turned off my phone. "Yuan, you turned off your phone, comma. Why did you suddenly go offline? Where are you, comma. Stop messing around. Call me back when you get this." Then, 2 hours later, "Yuan, I'm home. Where are you, comma. Why are so many clothes missing from the walk-in closet? Your suitcase is gone too, Lin Yuan. What do you mean by this? Then came messages from the middle of the night, the early morning. The dawn, I checked with the airline, you were on my flight, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately booked the flight I was piloting, waited until I finished accompanying the prenatal checkup to find out, Lin Yuan, what the hell are you trying to do? The last one was sent 3 minutes ago. I've applied for an emergency official visa. I'm coming to Milan right now. Lin Yuan, you wait for me. We'll talk face to face. I scrolled through each one, message by message, and didn't reply to a single one. Then I tapped the 3 dots in the upper right corner and selected delete contact. A pop-up confirmation appeared. Are you sure you want to delete contact Lu Siken? I tapped yes, cleared the chat history, cleared the phone number, cleared all traces of the past 3 years. My phone fell silent in an instant. I stood up, grabbed my bag from the overhead bin, and followed the crowd toward the cabin door. As I passed the first row of first class, a flight attendant recognized me, the one who had said yesterday, Captain Liu is such a nice guy. She looked at me, her eyes complicated, her lips parting as if she wanted to speak but held back. I smiled at her. Thank you for everything. Goodbye, she replied instinctively. Goodbye. The jet bridge wasn't long, a few steps and I reached the end. At customs, people were queuing up. I stood in line, turned my head, and glanced back at the plane, that MU-7023, parked beside the jet bridge, its fuselage painted with Jeju Airlines logo, silver-white, a little dazzling under the sun. I remembered the first time Lu Siken took me to visit the cockpit. He pointed at a bunch of instruments and explained them to me. I didn't understand a thing, but I just thought he looked so handsome in his uniform. Now, looking at this plane again, I only saw it as a mode of transportation, nothing more. Passport. The customs officer's voice pulled me back. I handed over my passport and visa. He glanced at them, stamped them, and handed them back. Welcome to Milan, ma'am. Thank you. The moment I pushed my luggage cart out of the arrivals hall, the Italian sunlight crashed down on me, warm, enveloping, carrying that humid Mediterranean scent. I took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. It was so blue, it looked fake. My phone vibrated again. This time, it was an incoming call, but the number wasn't Lu Sichen's. It was an unfamiliar number from China. I answered. Hello, Lin Yuan, you picked up. It was Lu Sichen's voice, choked with tears and desperation. Don't hang up. Listen to me. I hung up, blocked the number. The world fell quiet again. Dragging my suitcase to the taxi stand, I joined the queue. There were 5 or 6 people ahead of me, the line moving at a steady pace. Nearby, a young woman with an Asian face held a selfie stick, live streaming, speaking in Chinese. Babes, I just landed in Milan. The weather here is amazing. I'm heading to the Duomo to check in later. I stood behind her, catching a glimpse of myself in her camera's frame. Suddenly, she turned and smiled at me. Sister, are you traveling alone too? Want to share a cab to the city center? I paused for a second, then smiled back. Sure. 2 people splitting the fare was cheaper. I had no reason to refuse. Besides, this girl's smile reminded me of myself 3 years ago, naive, full of trust in the world. Once we got in the car, she enthusiastically introduced herself. My name is Sun Yan, from Suzhou, freelance, here in Milan to clear my head. What about you, sister? Lin Yuan, such a pretty name. Her eyes lit up. Are you here to clear your head too, sister? I looked out the window at the foreign scenery flashing by, and nodded. Yeah, clearing my head. Wow, same here. She clapped her hands excitedly. Let me tell you, my ex-boyfriend cheated on me. My bestie bought me a ticket and told me to get the hell out and have fun. Said the best cure for a broken heart is spending money and traveling. Sister, did a man hurt you too? I turned to look at her, and said seriously, not hurt, just woke up. Sun Yan blinked, then gave me a thumbs up. Sharp, sister, that's the way to put it. The car drove through street after street, the buildings growing more and more European. Sun Yan chattered away the whole time, about how trash her ex was, how beautiful the Milan Duomo was, how she had to eat authentic Italian pasta. I just listened, occasionally murmuring a reply. The sunlight streamed through the window, warm and soft. I suddenly remembered Lu Sichen's last message. I'm coming to Milan right now. Come on. Then, after all, this city is big enough. After all, I've already deleted every way you could reach me. After all, I was done. I, Lin Yuan, from today onward, live only for myself. Chapter 3. 30,000 feet, Sun Yan's hotel was in the city center. A 5-minute walk from the cathedral. She insisted I stay with her, claiming she was scared alone, saying the room had 2 beds and one was empty, and that if I didn't mind, we could split the cost. I thought it over and agreed. The hotel wasn't large, but it was clean. The front desk clerk was an Italian guy with a charming accent when he spoke English. While Sun Yan checked in, I waited in the lobby, and my phone rang again. This time, it was a domestic landline number. I answered. MS, Lin Yuan. This is the Human Resources Department of Jeju Airlines. I hung up. Lu Sikhen, you really have some nerve, even using the company number. The front desk finished up, and Sun Yan came running over with 2 room cards. Sister Yuan, here, we're on the 3rd floor, room 317. In the elevator, she kept muttering, Sister Yuan, you've been getting so many calls. Is work really busy? No, someone's harassing me. What? Should we call the police? No need. I smiled. He can't catch up to me. Sun Yan blinked but didn't ask more. The room was better than I expected. A floor-to-ceiling window faced a narrow alley, with the cathedral spire visible in the distance. Sun Yan dropped her luggage and rushed to shower, saying she had to freshen up before dealing with jet lag. I sat on the couch by the window, pulled out my phone, and scrolled aimlessly. The trending topics had already shifted. The news about Lu Sikhen and Song Qingqing's prenatal checkup had been buried, replaced by some celebrity cheating scandal. The power of capital was indeed formidable. The Lu family had stepped in, and the trending topics vanished on command. But then I stumbled upon a live stream. The title read, Jeju Airlines captain collapses at airport, suspected marriage crisis. I clicked in. The footage was shaky. The background, the airport departure hall. A crowd surrounded a man kneeling on the ground, gripping a staff member's hand, his voice hoarse and almost inaudible. Please, check if she booked a return ticket. Lin Yuan, Lin as in the forest, Yu as in giving, and as in peace. She's my wife. My wife. The camera zoomed in. It was Lu Sikhen. He was in casual clothes, his hair a mess, eyes bloodshot, looking like his bones had been drained from him as he knelt there. People around him were pulling at him, trying to calm him, but he wouldn't listen. He just kept repeating my name. The comments flew by fast. Whoa, is this Captain Lu, the scumbag who went to a prenatal checkup with his mistress, playing the devoted husband now? His mistress's belly is already big, and only when his wife runs does he panic. Sisters, see this clearly. This is how men are. They don't cherish you when you're around, but once you're gone, they're on their knees begging. Feel sorry for the wife for a second. Run. Don't look back. Good for her, keeping this man for New Year's. I stared at the pathetic man on the screen, and felt nothing. No pity, no satisfaction, not even a sense of vindication, just emptiness, like watching a stranger in a cheesy soap opera. Sister Yuan. Sun Yan came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, and leaned in. What are you watching? I handed her the phone. She glanced at it and gasped. Whoa, isn't this the captain from the trending topic today? His wife ran away. He's begging on his knees. This is too dramatic. I leaned back on the couch, looking out the window. Yeah, sister, tell me, isn't this guy pathetic? His mistress is pregnant, and he's here kneeling for his ex-wife. Sun Yan suddenly froze, slowly turning to look at me. Wait, sister. You said earlier someone was harassing you. I didn't speak. Her eyes widened. This guy, this Captain Lu, he's not the one harassing you, is he? I smiled but didn't deny it. Sun Yan sucked in a sharp breath, nearly dropping the phone. Sister Yuan, you're his wife, the wife who ran away. Ex-wife, I corrected her. Haven't signed the papers yet, but soon. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. Sun Yan spun around the room. I'm sharing a hotel with the trending topics female lead. I carpooled with the wealthy man's original wife. What kind of insane luck is this? I laughed at her antics. Why are you so excited? Of course I'm excited. She plopped down across from me. Sister, you're amazing. You know, when I saw that trending topic, I was thinking, how painful must it be for the wife, her husband accompanying his mistress to a prenatal checkup, live streamed to everyone. If it were me, I'd be crying my eyes out. But what happened? She just flew to Milan. She just left him behind, let him kneel and cry. Sister, you're my goddess. She gave me a thumbs up, her eyes shining like light bulbs. Her energy was infectious, and the corners of my mouth lifted a little more. It's nothing, really. I just suddenly saw things clearly. Good for you. Sun Yan slapped her thigh. Let me tell you, men are like that. the more you care about them, the more they strut, ignore them, and they'll be on their knees begging. My ex-boyfriend was the same, cheated on me all smug, but after I blocked him, he'd squat outside my door every day like a dog. We laughed together outside the window. Milan's sunlight poured in, warm and golden. Sunyan suddenly said, Sister Yuan, tonight let's eat near the cathedral. I know a super authentic Italian restaurant with amazing online reviews. Okay, then tomorrow, shopping. The day after, the lake. The day after that, a soccer match. I've got the whole itinerary planned, just follow me. I looked at this chattering girl and suddenly felt that life could be truly strange sometimes. Yesterday, I was sitting alone on a plane, preparing for an unknown new life. Today, I had a travel companion, a girl who didn't know my true identity but was willing to drag me along on this crazy adventure. Maybe this was fate's compensation to me. My phone rang again. This time, it was a WeChat friend request. The profile picture was a white background with black text, Lu Sikhen. The request message read, Yuan, I'm in Milan, where are you? I showed the phone to Sun Yan. Her eyes went wide. He chased you here? Yeah, you. Are you going to see him? I put the phone back in my pocket, stood up, and grabbed my jacket. Come on, let's go eat. Sun Yan froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. Right, let's eat. Forget about Lu Sikhen or whatever his name is. Let him find her himself. Milan's huge. He can search all he wants. We linked arms and stepped out of the room, our laughter echoing down the hallway, but my phone, still in my pocket, kept vibrating. 1, 2, 3, friend requests from Lu Sikhen, one after another, kept flooding in. I didn't look at a single one. At the same time, at Milan Malpensa Airport, Lu Sikhen dragged his suitcase out of the arrivals hall, standing by the roadside, looking around in confusion. Foreign streets, an unfamiliar language, crowds of people passing by. None of them were the one he was looking for. He picked up his phone and dialed that number again. The number you have dialed is busy. Blocked again. He tried with another phone, still blocked. He used the airport's public phone, still blocked. He crouched by the roadside, clutching his head with both hands, his shoulders starting to tremble. A passerby glanced at him curiously, then hurried away. A young Asian man walked over, hesitantly asking, Sir, are you okay? Do you need help? Lu Sikhen lifted his head, his eyes red, his lips trembling. I can't find her. Who? My wife. The young man paused, then handed him a tissue. Lu Sikhen didn't take it. He just kept murmuring, over and over. She was on my flight. I was supposed to be the pilot on that plane. If I hadn't taken that day off, if I hadn't gone with that woman to her prenatal checkup, would she have not left? Did she choose my flight on purpose? Did she want me to send her away myself? Tears finally fell, splattering onto the foreign soil. No one answered him, only Milan's sunlight, still brilliant. Chapter 4, Arrival in Milan. Dinner was lavish. The restaurant Sun Yan found was hidden in a small alley. The storefront was unremarkable, but inside, it was a hidden gem. Red Anne. White checkered tablecloths, old photos hanging on the walls. The owner was a chubby Italian old man, speaking broken English, warm as a flame. Beautiful ladies, welcome to Milan. Today I recommend the seafood pasta, my mother's recipe, the best in all of Milan. Sun Yan beamed, unable to close her mouth. All right, we'll have that. While waiting for the food, she scrolled through her phone again. Sister Yuan, that Lu Sikhen is on the news. She handed me the phone, a video of him breaking down at the airport got uploaded to foreign sites. Comments are all calling him pathetic. I glanced at it. In the footage, Lu Sikhen was still crouching at the airport entrance, a young man beside him trying to console him. His head was down, his expression unclear, but his shoulders kept shaking. The comments had already surpassed 10,000, in all kinds of languages. Why do men only regret after losing? Sisters, remember, this kind of man is not worth it. The original wife did brilliantly. Let him kneel and cry. I pushed the phone back and took a sip from the glass in front of me. Sun Yan asked cautiously, Sister, you really don't feel any pain? I thought for a moment, then answered her seriously, I did hurt, but not now. I only feel relief. Good. Sun Yan let out a sigh of relief. I was really afraid you'd soften, that he'd come kneeling and crying, and you'd go back with him. I've seen that plot too many times, and every time I want to jump into the scream and shake the female lead awake. I smiled. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. The pasta arrived, fragrant and steaming. Sun Yan picked up her fork, twirled a big mouthful, stuffed it into her mouth, and squinted in satisfaction. So good, sister. Try it. I took a bite too. It really was delicious. The noodles were chewy, the seafood fresh, the sauce rich. Every bite carried the sunlight of the Mediterranean. Halfway through, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't a call but a text from a new number. Ewan, I'm in Milan. Please give me a chance. Let's meet. Talk face to face. I know I was wrong. I'm a bastard. I shouldn't have lied to you about Ching Ching. I can explain. I blocked the number and continued eating. Sun Yan watched me, giving me a thumbs up. Solid. After dinner, we strolled along the small alley back to the hotel. Milan's night was even more enchanting than its day. Ancient buildings glowed under warm yellow lights like a painting. A small cafe was still open, a few tables of customers chatting outside, their laughter floating over with the unique rhythm of Italian. Sun Yan linked her arm through mine and suddenly asked, Sister Yuan, how long do you plan to stay in Milan? I don't know, maybe a few days, maybe a few months, maybe. I looked at the distant lights. Maybe I won't go back, not go back. Her eyes widened. What about your job, your family? Jobs can change. As for family, I thought of my father's perpetually stern face. They probably don't want me back either. When I got married, my father said, a married daughter is like spilled water. If you can't make it work, don't come back crying. Sun Yan fell silent, her grip on my arm tightening. After a moment, she said softly, then don't go back. Milan is nice. I'll stay with you. I turned to look at her, and she grinned back at me, showing two little fangs. Suddenly, I felt that fate hadn't been unkind to me. Losing one man, gaining a new friend. This deal wasn't a loss. Back at the hotel, the front desk called out to me, Ms. Lin, a gentleman is looking for you. My heart skipped a beat, but my face remained calm. What gentleman? He said his surname is Liu, that he's your husband. The front desk clerk's expression was a bit awkward. He's been waiting here for 3 hours. We told him we couldn't disclose guest information, but he just sat in the lobby and hasn't left. I looked toward the lobby. Sitting on the sofa was a man in a crumpled shirt, his hair a mess, head bowed, hands clasped on his knees. Beside him was a suitcase, identical to the one in the airport video. Sun Yan grabbed my arm nervously. Sister, it's that Liu Siken. He found you. I patted her hand and said to the front desk, please tell him I won't see him. If he continues to harass me, I'll call the police. The receptionist nodded and walked over across half the lobby. I saw him stand up and look in my direction. The moment our eyes met, it was as if he'd been struck by lightning, frozen solid in place. Then he charged toward me. Yuan. Sun Yan stepped in front of me, arms spread wide. Don't you come any closer. I'll call security. Liu Siken stopped 2 steps away, his eyes bloodshot, his voice hoarse beyond recognition. Yuan, please, just give me 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Let me explain. Explain what? I looked at him calmly. Explain how you went with Song Ching for her prenatal checkup. Explain how you got her pregnant, or explain how many lies you've told over the past 3 years. His lips trembled. Not a single word came out. I walked around Sun Yan, stepped right up to him, and said, word by word, Liu Siken, there's nothing left to talk about between us. The divorce papers are on the coffee table at home. Go back and sign them. I don't want your money. I don't want your house. I only ask one thing of you. Stay far away from me. Tears suddenly poured from his eyes. He reached out to grab me, but Sun Yan slapped his hand away. Don't touch her. The security guards arrived then. 2 burly Italian men flanked him on either side. Sir, please leave, or we'll call the police. Liu Siken struggled, his eyes locked onto mine. Yuan, listen to me. Song Ching's child isn't mine. She tricked me. I went with her to the checkup because she said if I didn't, she'd jump off a building. Enough. I cut him off, my voice cold as ice. Liu Siken, do you know what I hate you for the most? He froze. It's not that you cheated. It's not that you lied to me, it's that you treated me like a fool. I looked at him, enunciating every word. 3 years. Did you really think I didn't know anything? Did you really think I believed it was overtime every time you came home late, every time I smelled perfume on you, every time you stared at your phone and smiled like an idiot? I knew about Song Ching. I've known for 2 years. I laughed, my eyes stinging, but I kept waiting. Waiting for you to tell me yourself. Waiting for you to say, just once, Yuan, I'm sorry. And what did I get? A trending hashtag. He was completely stunned. Sun Yan whispered beside me, Sister, you knew all along. I looked at Liu Sichen's pale face. Did you really think I left because of the trending topic? No, that was just the last straw. I left because I finally figured it out. You don't deserve me. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me came his voice, choked with tears. Drenched in despair, Yuen, don't go. Please. I didn't look back. Sun-Yen jogged to catch up. Slipping her arm through mine, the elevator door slid shut, sealing off all the noise. She looked at me, her voice cautious. Sister, are you okay? I'm great. I pressed the floor button, watching the numbers climb. Better than I've ever been. The elevator reached the 3rd floor. The doors opened. The hallway was dead silent. We walked toward the room, our footsteps muffled by the carpet. Just as we reached the door, Sun-Yen suddenly said, Sister, what you said. Back there, that was so cool. I smiled, swiped the key card, and opened the door. The lights in the room were still on. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows lay the Milan nightscape, the distant spire of the cathedral faintly visible in the glow. I stood by the window, gazing at the sea of lights, and suddenly felt a warmth behind my eyes, not because I was sad, but because I was finally free. My phone buzzed again, a new text message. Yuen, I won't give up. I'm waiting outside the hotel. I'll stay until you're willing to see me. I tapped it open, blocked the number, and deleted the message. Then I turned to Sun-Yen. What time do we get up tomorrow? She blinked. 8. I want to go to the cathedral to film the sunrise. Okay, I'll go with you. Outside the window, Milan's night was quiet, and I knew, from now on, every single day of mine would be better than the last. Chapter 5. Returning to an empty house. The next morning at 6, Sun-Yen shook me awake. Yuen, get up. Sunrise. I groggily let her drag me out of bed, pull on some clothes, and haul me out the door without even washing my face. Milan in the early morning was freezing. The streets were empty, except for a cleaning truck working its way along. Sun-Yen held up her phone and jogged ahead, muttering to herself, Hurry, 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 the sun's about to come up. By the time we reached the cathedral square, the sky was just beginning to pale. The cathedral lit up slowly in the dawn light, its white spires turned to soft gold. Pigeons strutted across the square, occasionally flapping their wings and taking off. Sun-Yen held up her phone, live streaming, her voice hushed. Babies, look, the Milan Cathedral sunrise, isn't it beautiful? I stood to the side, pulling my coat tighter, watching the scene before me. It really was beautiful, so beautiful it made you want to cry, but I didn't want to cry. I wanted to smile. Yuen. Sun-Yen turned the camera toward me. Come on, say hi to my babies. I instinctively turned away, but half my face still ended up in the frame. The comments exploded. Holy crap, that sister has such an elegant vibe. Is she Sun-Yen's friend? Her looks are amazing. Wait, that profile. Doesn't it look a bit like the wife from yesterday's trending topic? No way. Isn't the wife back in China? Sun-Yen quickly swung the camera back, sticking her tongue out at me. Sorry, sister. I forgot you don't like being on camera. It's fine, I smiled, even if they caught me. No one knows who I am anyway. That's what I said, but I still pulled my collar up a little higher. After filming the sunrise, we went to a nearby cafe for breakfast. The espresso came in a tiny cup, so bitter it made me frown. Sun-Yen dumped 3 spoonfuls of sugar into hers, stirring with a clatter. Sister, what's your plan for today? Just wander around, do some shopping. I'll come with you. I know this boutique. It's amazing. Just then, my phone rang. It was a domestic number, but not Lucichen's. It was my mom. I picked up. Yuen. My mom's voice cracked with tears, trembling on the other end of the line. Where are you? Lucichen's gone out of his mind, searching everywhere for you. He called me. What's going on with you two? You have a good life. Why are you fighting? I took a deep breath, forcing my voice steady, though my chest tightened. Mom, don't get involved in this. How can I not get involved? Your dad's blood pressure spiked from the anger. The Lu family's been looking for you too, saying they'll talk you back no matter what. Yuen, listen to me. Men, they stray a little outside. It's normal. Don't take it too seriously. Mom, I cut her off, my voice dropping cold, sharp as a blade. He cheated on me, went with his mistress for a prenatal checkup, and it hit the trending searches. And you tell me don't take it too seriously? My mom choked, a pause heavy with hesitation. Then she said, well, but you can't just run off like this. Couples don't hold grudges overnight. Come back, have a proper talk. There's nothing to talk about. I stood up, walked outside the cafe into the crisp morning air. Mom, I'm grown up. I know what I'm doing. Tell Dad to pretend he never had a daughter like me. Yuen, don't hang up. I hung up, standing in the early sunlight. I breathed in deep, then deeper, the cool air stinging my lungs. Sun Yan rushed out after me, her eyes cautious, searching my face. Sister, are you okay? I'm fine, I forced a smile, the corners of my mouth stiff. Come on, let's go shopping. At the same time, back home in China, Lu Sikhen stood in the empty living room, staring at the divorce agreement on the coffee table. He picked it up, flipping through page by page, the paper rustling in the silence. The property division clause read, I voluntarily waive all rights to property division. All assets under both parties' names shall remain with their respective owners. At the bottom, Lin Yuan's signature was neat and firm, each stroke deliberate, full of force. Beside it lay the wedding ring, a 3-carat diamond, gleaming coldly in the morning light, a stark reminder. He picked up the ring, clenched it tightly in his palm, the diamond biting into his flesh, a sharp pain radiating through his hand. His phone rang. His mother, Sikhen, have you found Yuan yet? No, that girl's really something, running abroad over such a small thing. Unacceptable. You need to bring her back immediately. If not, have the Lu family's lawyers handle it. We can't have this scandal hit our family. Lu Sikhen closed his eyes, the weight of her words pressing down on him. Scandal. In his mother's eyes, a runaway daughter-in-law was a scandal, but her son cheating and accompanying his mistress to a prenatal checkup wasn't. Mom, don't worry about it. Who else will? I'm telling you, get rid of Song Qingqing right away. Abort that child too. Don't leave any loose ends. The Lu family's daughter in-law can only be Lin Yuan. We still need the Lin family's connections. Lu Sikhen clenched his fist, his knuckles white. So that was it. Everyone knew, only he had thought his lies were seamless. After hanging up, he stood in the empty living room for a long time, the silence pressing in on him. This apartment was bought when he and Yuan got married, 180 square meters, the renovation taking a whole year. Every tile, every light, every painting, she had chosen them all with care. On the living room wall hung their wedding photo. She wore a flowing white train, her eyes curved into crescents, her smile radiant. He held her waist, looking down at her, his eyes full of adoration. When that photo was taken, he truly loved her. When did it start to change? Was it when Song Qingqing suddenly appeared, when she cried, saying she was pregnant with his child, or when he began juggling 2 women, slowly feeling overwhelmed? He didn't know. All he knew was that standing here now, the room was filled with her shadow, but nowhere could he find her. His phone rang again, this time. His assistant, President Lu. We've tracked her down, Mrs. M.S. Lin checked into a hotel in Milan yesterday after landing, but she checked out at 6 this morning. Checked out. Lu Sichen's heart clenched violently, a cold dread seizing him. Where did she go? We don't know. The front desk said she left with another Chinese girl. No destination mentioned. Lu Sikhen closed his eyes. She had run. She knew he had followed her to Milan, so she ran. President Lu, are you still there? Keep searching. Check every hotel, every Band B, every short-term rental in Milan. President Lu, that's a massive task. I'll pay whatever it costs. If you don't find her, none of you get the final payment. After hanging up, he hurled his phone to the ground. The screen shattered, glass shards scattering across the floor like tears. He crouched down, burying his head in his hands, his shoulders beginning to tremble, a sob caught in his throat. Milan, some boutique store. Sun Yan held up a coat, draping it against me. Sister, this one's gorgeous. It'll make you look elegant. Try it on. I took the coat and stepped into the fitting room. In the mirror, my face was calm, my eyes clear, a quiet resolve settling in. My phone buzzed again, a new number, a text message. Yuan, I know you don't want to see me, but I won't give up. I'll keep searching until you're willing to talk. I stared at it for 2 seconds, then deleted it and blocked the number. Then I slipped into the coat and stepped out of the fitting room. Sun Yan's eyes lit up. Wow, sister, you look amazing in this. Buy it. I glanced at the price tag, 2,800 euros. Use Lu Sichen's supplementary card, or my own. After a moment's thought, I pulled out my own black card from my bag. I'll take it. Since I'd decided to start over, I'd do it completely. Not a single cent of his money. Walking out of the store, the sunlight was perfect, warm on my skin. Sun Yan linked her arm through mine, chattering about our next destination. Suddenly, a thought struck me. Sun Yan, do you want to go to Venice? Huh, Venice? Yeah, I've never been. I heard it's beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. Sun Yan jumped up in excitement. Let's go tomorrow. okay, Milan was beautiful, but it held someone I didn't want to see, so let's go to Venice, to Florence, to Rome, to all the places he couldn't find me. This European continent was vast enough. Somewhere there had to be a corner where I could live again. Chapter 6. Desperate Search. Venice was even more beautiful than Milan. The water bus glided through the Grand Canal, ancient buildings passing by like paintings, their reflections shimmering on the water. Sun Yan held up her phone, filming non-stop, shouting so beautiful, making nearby tourists laugh. I leaned against the railing, the breeze brushing my face, carrying the scent of salt and history. For the first time in days, I let myself breathe. We were staying at a small hotel near Street, Mark Square, and when I pushed open the window, I could see pigeons strolling across the square below. After dropping off our luggage, Sun Yan grabbed my arm and dragged me out the door. Hurry, 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 let's ride a gondola. The gondolier was a handsome Italian guy, singing as he rode, his voice deep and rich like a cello. Sun Yan was completely smitten, secretly snapping several photos. I leaned against the side of the boat, taking in the scenery along the banks, my fingers trailing through the cool canal water. My phone had been silent for 2 days. It seemed like Lu Sikhen had finally given up, but deep down, I knew he wouldn't let go so easily. That man had a stubborn streak in his bones. The more he couldn't have something, the more he wanted it. That evening, we sat at a cafe in Street, Mark Square, sipping coffee. Sun Yan was scrolling through her phone when she suddenly let out a surprised "Ha, sis, take a look at this." She handed me her phone. It was an article from a domestic gossip account, with the headline, "Exclusive, Captain Lu chases his wife to Milan. Why does the wife refuse to see him?" The article was written in vivid detail, full of insider reveals and reliable sources, claiming I was staying at a certain hotel, that Lu Sikhen had waited outside all night, and then I never showed my face. It even said something like, "Lin, the wife, is resolute," and Captain Lu broke down in tears. There were over 20,000 comments below, chasing her all the way to Milan, and she still won't see him. This woman is ruthless. Good for her. That's how you deal with a scumbag. Wait, am I the only one curious what the wife looks like? Same here +1. If she's got a captain chasing her abroad, she must be a stunner, right? I handed the phone back to Sun Yan and took a sip of my coffee. She asked cautiously, "Sis, this article, will it affect you?" "No," I said, staring at the distant sunset. "It's based on facts. There's nothing to fear." "But," she hesitated, "what if someone recognizes you? So what if they do?" I turned to look at her. "I'm the victim, not the one at fault. I'm not the one who should be hiding." Sun Yan blinked, then broke into a smile. "You're right, sis. The one who should hide is that mistress, not you." The sun sank lower, painting the entire street, Mark Square in gold. A thought suddenly struck me. "Sun Yan, do you know any lawyers back in China?" "Lawyers? Yeah, my college classmate is one." "Why?" "Help me ask something. How fast can a divorce lawsuit be finalized?" Her eyes widened. "You're going to file for divorce. He won't sign, so I have no choice but to sue." She was silent for a few seconds, then nodded firmly. "Okay, I'll ask right now." Back in China, at the Lu family home, Lu Sichen's mother, Lin Mei-chin, sat on the sofa, her face ashen. "You couldn't find her, a grown woman, and you're telling me you couldn't find her?" The private investigator in front of her hung his head. "Mrs. Lu, Miss Lin has strong counter-surveillance instincts. She changes hotels every day and never books in advance. We simply can't lock down her itinerary." "Useless." Lin Mei-chin slammed her teacup onto the table. Lu Sikhen sat nearby, silent. "Look at what you've done." Lin Mei-chin turned to scold him. "You drove your own wife away. Now the whole social circle is laughing at our family. Are you satisfied?" Lu Sikhen lifted his head, his eyes sunken, his face unshaven, like a completely different person. "Mom, stop yelling at me." "Who else am I supposed to yell at? I told you from the start that song Ching Ching was no good, but you had to keep dragging things out with her, and now Lin Yuan has run off. The Lin family has turned against us, and even your father's company projects are suffering." Lu Sikhen clenched his fists. He knew, over the past few days, the Lin group had halted all cooperation with the Lu family. His father-in-law, Lin Jiangwo, might have said, "A married daughter is like water poured out," but when it came down to it, he still protected his own. "I've booked you a ticket," Lin Mei-chin said. "Tomorrow, you're going back to Milan. Keep looking, Don't come back until you find Lin Yuan. Lu Sikhen stood up without a word and turned to go upstairs. He pushed open the bedroom door. It was still empty. Half the clothes were gone from the closet. The vanity table was bare, and even her skincare products had vanished from the bathroom. He lay down on the bed, burying his face in the pillow. The pillow still carried the faint scent of her shampoo, barely lingering, almost gone. He closed his eyes, and the scene before she left played out in his mind. That morning, before he went out, she was in the kitchen making breakfast, the sizzle of frying eggs, the aroma of coffee. He was in a hurry, so he gave her a quick kiss on the forehead. Wait for me tonight, I have something to tell you. She looked up at him, her eyes strangely calm. Okay, back then, he thought everything could still be fixed. Come home that night, talk to her. Explain the whole Song Ching thing, soothe her a bit, and it would all be fine. But what happened? He went with Song Ching for her prenatal checkup, dropped her off, bought a gift, and even thought about which handbag she might like along the way. When he got home and pushed open the door, no one was there. In that moment, his mind went blank, as if something inside him had snapped. He rushed into the bedroom, the walk-in closet, the bathroom, the study, even opened the storage room door. Nothing. She was nowhere, only the divorce agreement on the coffee table, and the ring she had taken off. He picked up the ring and found a note underneath, just 2 words, goodbye. Lu Sikhen buried his face deeper into the pillow, his shoulders beginning to tremble. Milan, some hotel, Sun Yan and I had just checked in and were dragging our suitcases toward the elevator when my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered. Lin Yuan. It was Lu Sichen's voice, hoarse almost beyond recognition. Don't hang up, please, just give me 1 minute. I hung up. Blocked. Sun Yan watched from the side, whispering, Sis, did he change numbers again? Yeah. Is he still in Milan? Probably, I said, pressing the elevator button. It has nothing to do with us. The elevator doors slid open, and we stepped inside. Just as they were about to close, a hand suddenly shot in, blocking them. The doors reopened. Standing at the entrance was a man, unshaven, eyes bloodshot, clothes wrinkled. He looked like a homeless man, utterly wrecked. It was Lu Sikhen. He stared at me, lips trembling, tears pooling in his eyes. Yuan, finally, I found you. Sun Yan flinched, stepping back, shielding me with her body. How did you find this place? Lu Sikhen ignored her, his gaze locked on me like a predator's. Yuan, please, give me a chance. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. I looked at him, calm as if I were staring at a stranger. Lu Sikhen, we're over. It's not over. He burst in, nearly knocking into Sun Yan. As long as you haven't signed the papers, we're still husband and wife. I have the right. What right do you have? I cut him off, my voice turning icy. The right to cheat, the right to lie to me, or the right to accompany your mistress to her prenatal checkup and trend on the hot search. He froze, and finally, tears spilled down his cheeks. I know I was wrong, Yuan. I really know I was wrong. Give me a chance. Let me make it up. How? I stepped forward, pressing into his space. Can you make Song Ching's baby disappear? Can you undo 3 years of lies? Or do you think I, Lin Yuan, deserve to be deceived, deserve to wait for you to come back? His lips quivered, words failing him. Lu Sikhen, listen carefully. I spoke each word deliberately. I, Lin Yuan, stopped loving you the day I left. No, actually, I stopped loving you the day I learned the truth. The remaining days were just me waiting to let go, and now, I've let go. The elevator was dead silent, broken only by his muffled sobs. Sun Yan tugged my arm, whispering, Sister, let's go. I nodded, stepped around Lu Sikhen, and walked out of the elevator. His voice followed, laced with despair. Yuan, do you hate me that much? I paused but didn't turn back. I don't hate you. Hating someone means you still care, but with you, there's nothing left. With that, I kept walking. Outside the hotel, the night wind hit me, carrying the damp breath of Venice. Sun Yan clung tightly to my arm, her voice shaky. Sister, will he come after us again? Yes. Then what do we do? I looked up at the sky. No stars, only the distant lights of street Mark Square. Let him chase. I'll keep walking. This city is big, Europe is big, the world is big. There will always be a place he can't find. Chapter 7. The truth comes out. Lu Sikhen didn't follow. Maybe my words cut too deep, or maybe he finally realized chasing was useless. That night, Sun Yan and I switched hotels. We didn't dare book anything fancy, just a shabby little inn. The Kind without even a sign, lying in bed, Sun-Yin tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Sister, she whispered, that Lu Sikhen, was he ever good to you? I thought for a moment. He was. How good? First year of marriage, I had a fever. He flew back overnight from an international flight, didn't even change his clothes, stayed by my side all night. When I woke up the next morning, I found him asleep at the bedside, still holding my hand. Sun-Yin was silent for a while. Then what happened? How did it end up like this? Then, I stared at the ceiling. Then Song Qingqing showed up. Who is she, really? His first love, I said. Lu Sichen's college girlfriend. They broke up later. 2 years ago, she suddenly came back, said she was looking for him. By then, we'd been married over a year. Sun-Yin gasped. He didn't tell you? No. I let out a faint laugh. I found out on my own. Then you. How did you bear it? Bear it? I turned to look at her. Who said I bore it? I was just waiting for him to tell me himself. Waiting for him to handle it. I thought he was just clinging to old memories, making a momentary mistake. I thought he'd choose me. And then he chose her. Sun-Yin fell silent after a long pause. She said softly, Sister, you're really strong. If it were me, I'd have fallen apart long ago. I smiled but didn't answer. Strong? No. I just finally saw things clearly. The next morning, we took a train to Florence. The carriage wasn't crowded. Across from us sat an elderly couple, both white-haired, still holding hands. The old woman dozed off against her husband's shoulder while he read a newspaper, occasionally glancing at her with eyes as tender as water. Sun-Yin watched them, her eyes reddening. Sister, how do you think they managed to stay together their whole lives? I gazed out the window at the Tuscan countryside rushing past, and said quietly, I don't know, maybe, because they never let a third person in. The train weaved through the fields, sunlight streaming through the windows, warm and golden. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Yuan, I know you don't want to see me, but there's something I have to tell you. Song Qingqing's baby isn't mine. She tricked me. She got pregnant by another man and came to me to take the fall. I went to her prenatal checkup because she said if I didn't, she'd cause trouble at your family's company, at your dad's office. I was afraid you'd be hurt. Afraid your parents would find out. So, I read the message, a slow smile curling at the corners of my mouth, not because I found his explanation funny, but because I found myself laughable. 2 years ago, I already knew, and now he comes running to explain. How ironic. Sun-Yin leaned over, glanced at the screen, and her eyes widened. He says the baby isn't his. Do you believe him? Does it matter? I put the phone away. Cheating is cheating. Is there a difference between physical cheating and emotional cheating? Sun-Yin blinked, then nodded firmly. Makes sense. The train rolled on, the scenery outside like a flowing oil painting. Suddenly, a thought struck me. I pulled out my phone and opened Lin Zhizhen's WeChat. My brother. The last time I spoke to him was 3 months ago. He asked me how I was doing, and I said, good, and then he stopped asking. I sent a message. Bro, are you there? He replied almost instantly. I'm here. Where are you? Me, Italy. Him, I know. Lu Sikhen came looking for you at home. How are you? Me. I'm fine, bro. Do me a favor. Him, speak. Me, look into Song Qingqing for me. Her relationships over the past 2 years, her social circle, the timing of her pregnancy, the sooner, the better. Him, wait. 10 minutes later, he sent me a folder. I opened it. It was a detailed investigation report. It listed exactly who Song Qingqing had been with every month for the last 2 years, where she lived, which hospitals she visited, and at the very end, there was a copy of the DNA test results. It read, the biological father of the fetus is excluded from Lu Sikhen, sample provider, match rate, 000%. I handed my phone to Sun-Yin. She glanced at it, then gasped, holy shit, it's really not his. The baby is someone else's. Yeah, then, what are you going to do? I stared out the window and said nothing. What was I going to do? Nothing, because from the very beginning, the child was never what I cared about. Florence was even quieter than Venice. We were staying at a small guest house along the Arno River. When you opened the window, you could see the Ponte Vecchio. The sunset turned the entire river gold. People came and went across the bridge, and a street musician played the violin, the melody drifting across the water, dreamlike and serene. Sun-Yin went to take a shower. I sat by the window, watching the sun sink over the river. My phone rang. It was that same unfamiliar number. I answered. Yuan. Lu Sichen's voice was frantic, desperate. Did you see what I sent? The baby Really isn't mine. I didn't lie to you. I have proof. I know. He froze. You know. I've known for 2 years now. I looked out at the sunset, my voice as calm as if I were talking about someone else's life. Lu Sikhen, did you really think I was that stupid? Every time you went to see Song Ching, every time you lied, every time you came home later and later, I knew. Dead silence on the other end. I was just waiting, I continued. Waiting for you to tell me yourself. Waiting for you to handle it, waiting for you to choose me, but you didn't. You kept hiding it from me, kept accompanying her, kept coming home and telling me, don't make a scene, Yuan. His voice was trembling. So you see, whether or not the child is yours never really mattered. I let out a small laugh. What mattered was that you chose to hide it from me. You chose to be with her. You chose to make me wait like a fool for 2 years. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Yeah, I know you were wrong. But now that you've been wrong, it's time for this to end. I hung up, I blocked that number, then I opened my phone's photo album and pulled up a picture. It was taken 2 years ago by a private investigator I'd hired. In the photo, Lu Sikhen and Song Ching were at a cafe. He was holding her hand. She was crying like a wilted pear blossom. He looked full of concern. That was when I knew this marriage was over. I just couldn't let go. I couldn't stand to admit defeat. I couldn't stand to hand my place over to that woman who had inserted herself into our lives. I couldn't stand the thought of 3 years of feelings just ending like that, so I kept waiting, waiting for him to turn back, waiting for him to wake up, waiting for him to choose me. And what did I get after 2 years of waiting? A trending hashtag, photos of him accompanying her to prenatal checkups, that line he gave me, don't make a scene, I'll be with you tonight. That was enough, really. It was enough. Sister, Sun Yan came out of the shower and saw me staring at my phone. What's wrong? I snapped back to reality and smiled. Nothing. Where should we go tomorrow? The Leaning Tower of Pisa, or maybe Lucca. I'm fine with either. Let's go to Pisa, then. Awesome. She crawled into bed, and soon I could hear her steady breathing. I lay in bed, staring at the night outside the window, the lights of the Arno River reflected on the water, flickering gently, like tears, but no tears fell, because the tears that should have been shed had already been cried dry. Chapter 8. Kneeling in public, the Leaning Tower of Pisa looked even more tilted than in the photos. Sun Yan held up her phone, searching for the perfect angle, muttering to herself, how do I take this so it looks like I'm pushing the tower? She spent half an hour before she was satisfied. I sat on the grass nearby, watching the tourists come and go, couples kissing, parents chasing after their kids, old people sitting on benches, soaking up the sun. The sunlight was beautiful. The breeze was gentle, everything felt just right. Sun Yan finished taking her photos and ran over, plopping down beside me. Sister, why aren't you taking any? Nothing worth taking. What do you mean? It's such a famous landmark. I smiled but didn't explain. It wasn't that the landmark wasn't worth it. It was that I wasn't in the mood. My phone rang again. This time, it was my brother, Yuan. Lu Sikhen came to see me again. Lin Jihen's voice was laced with exasperation. He's kneeling at the entrance of my company. He says he has to see you, that he won't get up until he does. I looked at the distant leaning tower and said calmly, ignore him, I don't want to deal with him either, but him kneeling there is bad for the company's image. A crowd has gathered, and people are filming it and posting it online. I was silent for a few seconds. Bro, send him my address. What? Lin Jihen's voice shot up. Are you crazy? You finally got away from him, and I'm tired. I cut him off. Rather than having him chase me all over the world, I'd rather meet him once and make things clear. Are you sure? Yeah, fine, I'll send it to him, but you have to promise me, don't bring him back with you. Don't worry. After I hung up, Sun Yan looked at me nervously. Sister, you're going to see him? Yeah, where? Right here. I glanced around. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's crowded. He won't dare to do anything crazy. Sun Yan grabbed my arm. I'll stay with you. I nodded. Half an hour later, a taxi pulled up at the entrance of the scenic spot. Lu Sikhen jumped out, his eyes darting around wildly until they locked onto me. He ran over, panting, his eyes red. Yuan, I was sitting on the bench. I looked up at him. He had lost so much weight in just a few days. His cheekbones jutted out sharply. His stubble was a mess. His clothes were wrinkled. There was nothing left of the captain he used to be. Sit down. I pointed to the seat beside me. He froze for a moment, then carefully lowered himself onto the seat, keeping at least a foot of distance between us. Sun Yan stood behind me, her eyes fixed on him with wary vigilance. Silence stretched for a few seconds before I spoke first. Lu Siken, how long have we known each other? His voice came out hoarse. For years, from when we first met to when we got married. 4 years and 3 months. For years. I gazed at the distant leaning tower. 3 years of marriage, 2 years of lies. Have you ever counted that account? He dropped his head, saying nothing. I don't hate you, I said. Really, not at all. These 2 years, I've hated, I've resented, I've cried, I've fought. But that day on the plane, something suddenly clicked. What clicked? I realized I shouldn't punish myself for someone else's mistakes. I turned to look at him. You cheated. That's your business. I left. That's mine. These two things don't have a cause and effect relationship. He lifted his head, tears glistening in his eyes. But I love you, Ewan. You love yourself. I cut him off. You love the version of yourself that had everything under control in the marriage, that had 2 women orbiting around you, not me. That's not true. It is. I locked eyes with him. If you really loved me, when Song Chinchin showed up 2 years ago, you would have told me. If you really loved me, for the past year, you wouldn't have been lying to me while accompanying her. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have made me face all that suspicion, that waiting, that disappointment alone. Tears spilled down his face. I know I'm a bastard. You don't know. I stood up, looking down at him. You don't know how I felt every time I smelled that perfume, every time I saw you smiling at your phone, every night I couldn't sleep. You don't know, because you never wanted to. He stood up, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. Ewan, give me a chance to make it right. How? I looked at him. Turn back time. Go back 2 years, and start over. He froze. It can't go back, I said. Lu Siken, from the very first day you lied to me, it couldn't go back. People around us started to gather. Phones raised to capture the scene. Suddenly, Lu Siken dropped to his knees. Both knees hit the stone floor with a sound that made the crowd gasp. Lin Yuan, he looked up at me, his face soaked with tears. I beg you, give me one chance. I don't care about anything, my job, my house, my money, nothing. Just come back to me. The crowd stirred. Gasps, videos, whispers filled the air. I looked down at him, my heart utterly still. No pity, no satisfaction, nothing. Lu Siken, I said softly, this only makes things harder for me. He froze. Do you think kneeling can erase 2 years of lies? Do you think begging me in front of all these people proves how much you love me? I shook my head. No, it only proves how afraid you are to lose me. But losing me, you earned it. I stepped around him and walked away. Suddenly, he grabbed my ankle, sobbing brokenly. Ewan, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please come back. I stopped, looking down at him. Over 100 people had gathered now. Phone lenses pointed at us, flashes flickering. Sun Yan whispered beside me, Sister, should I call security? I shook my head. I crouched down, meeting his eyes. Lu Siken, listen carefully. He stared at me through blurred tears. That day I got on the plane you were flying, it wasn't because I hated you, it was because I finally understood. Understood what? Understood that no one in this world is irreplaceable. I smiled faintly. See, without you, I'm doing fine. No insomnia, no suspicion, no tears. Every morning I wake up to sunlight. He stared at me, dazed. So don't beg, because it won't work. I stood up, giving him one last look. From now on, you live your life, I'll live mine. Just treat those 3 years like a dream. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, his cries echoed, heart-wrenching. Like a wounded beast, I didn't look back. As we walked out of the crowd, Sun Yan clung tightly to my arm, her palms sweaty. Sister, that was so cool. Seriously, so cool. With all those people watching, you didn't even flinch. I smiled but said nothing. It wasn't that I wasn't nervous, it was that my heart was dead. When the heart is dead, nothing can make it tremble. My phone buzzed with a text message. Lin Yuan. This is Lin Mei Qin, Lu Sichen's mother. Where are you? I need to see you. I stared at the message for a moment, then slowly deleted it. No, I don't want to see anyone, not his mother, not anyone's mother, because from today onward, I live only for myself. Chapter 9, a brush past. 1 month later, Rome, Fiumicino Airport. The terminal buzzed with travelers. Announcements in Italian and English echoed through the hall. I sat by the window, a cup of coffee in my hand, watching planes take off and land on the tarmac. Sun Yan was scrolling through her phone beside me when she suddenly gasped, Sister, look. She handed me her phone. On the screen was a domestic news headline: former Jeju Airlines captain Lee Sik-hen suspended for investigation, flight delays allegedly due to personal reasons. I glanced at it. The article said that ever since returning from Italy a month ago, Lee Sik-hen had been unstable. He'd made multiple errors during flights. Last week, on a Beijing-Shanghai route, his emotional state caused a 3-hour delay. The company had suspended him pending investigation. The comments below were a chorus of approval. Serves him right. Did he think there'd be no consequences for cheating? The ex-wife made the right call. A man like that deserves to lose both his career and his love. I heard the mistress ran away too. The kid wasn't even his. Hilarious. What goes around comes around. No one escapes karma. I handed the phone back to Sun Yan and took a sip of my coffee. Sun Yan looked at me cautiously. Sister, how do you feel? I gazed out the window at the tarmac, thinking for a moment. No feeling, really. I turned to look at her. His matters have nothing to do with me anymore. Sun Yan was silent for a few seconds, then smiled. Sister, you've grown up. What do you mean? It's just, she organized her words, you've finally completely let go. I paused for a moment, then smiled too. Yeah, completely let go. Over this past month, Sun Yan and I had traveled all over Italy, Rome, Florence, Venice, Pisa, Cinque Terre, Sicily. We'd seen the sea, climbed mountains, eaten countless bowls of pasta and slices of pizza, taken thousands of photos. Liu Xichen's shadow grew fainter and fainter, so faint that sometimes I wouldn't think of him even once in a whole day. Sister, Sun Yan checked the time. We should go through security. I nodded, stood up, and dragged my suitcase toward the security checkpoint. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mom. I answered. Yuan. My mom's voice was choked with tears. Are you still in Italy? When are you coming back? Soon. My flight is this afternoon. Then, can you come home? Your father, he wants to see you. I was silent for a few seconds. Ever since my wedding day, when my dad said a married daughter is like water spilled, I hadn't been home in 3 years. Mom, Dad, he's stubborn, you know that. My mom sobbed. Actually, he regretted it a long time ago. He just can't swallow his pride. This whole Liu family thing made him furious. He said he never should have let you marry into that family in the first place. Yuan, come home, okay? I looked out at the sky through the window, took a deep breath. Okay. I hung up, and Sun Yan leaned in. Sister, you're going back to China? Yeah. Then, can I come with you? I'm homesick too. I looked at her and smiled. Of course. 12 hours later, the plane landed at Beijing Capital International Airport. As I stepped out of the cabin, a familiar feeling washed over me. The jet bridge, the announcements, the uniforms of the ground crew, everything was just as it had been when I left 3 years ago, but somehow, nothing felt the same. After collecting our luggage, Sun Yan and I walked toward the exit. The VIP passage was quiet, with few people around. Our footsteps echoed on the floor. Just as we were about to reach the exit, Sun Yan suddenly tugged at my sleeve. Sister, I followed her gaze. On the other side of the VIP passage, a man stood there. He wore a wrinkled shirt, his stubble unkempt, his eyes sunken deep. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. It was Liu Sik-hen. He stood there, staring at me blankly, like a statue. The distance between us was no more than 10 meters. I paused for a moment, then kept walking. As I passed by him, he suddenly spoke. Yuan. His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper scraping across glass. I didn't stop. I didn't turn my head. I kept walking. Yuan. He took a step after me, but was stopped by security. Just let me say one thing. Just one. I still didn't stop. Lin Yuan. His voice cracked with tears. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please, come back. I reached the exit. Someone was waiting for me outside. A man, wearing a dark gray overcoat and gold-rimmed glasses. His demeanor was gentle and refined. He smiled at me and took my suitcase. Tired? Not really. Sun Yan's eyes went wide beside me. She whispered, Sister, this is... I linked my arm through the man's and smiled. My boyfriend, Chen Yan, behind me. Liu Sik-hen watched all of this, frozen like he'd been struck by lightning. Chen Yan looked down at me, his eyes full of warmth. Come on, the car's outside. We walked toward the parking lot. Behind us, Liu Xichen's voice came again, hoarse and desperate. Lin Yuan. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. Chen Yan, I said, what's for dinner? Chen Yan chuckled softly. What do you feel like? Hot pot. I've been craving it for a whole month abroad. All right, I know a good place. We kept walking. Behind us, there was no more sound. In the car, Chen Yan started the engine, and the vehicle slowly pulled out of the parking lot. Sun-yen sat in the back, excitedly leaning over the seat. Sister, that was Lu Sikhen. How did he get so skinny? He looks nothing like his photos. I stared out the window at the scenery rushing by and said flatly, I don't know. He was crying just now. Didn't you see? I didn't see. Sister, you're really heartless. I smiled but said nothing. It wasn't heartlessness. It was letting go. When you've let go, you don't look back. Qingyan glanced at me and reached over to take my hand. I held his back. Outside the window, Beijing's sunlight filtered through the clouds, warm and golden. My phone buzzed. A text message. Yuan, I won't give up. I'll wait forever, until the day you turn back. I glanced at it, deleted it, and blocked the number. Then I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. The sound of the car filled my ears, steady and reassuring. In the back seat, Sun-yen chattered away with Qingyan, asking how they met, how long they'd been together, whether he treated her sister well. Qingyan answered each question, his voice warm and polite. I listened, and slowly, a smile crept across my lips. So this is what it feels like to let someone go and start over. No pain, no hate, no resentment, only peace, and a little bit of anticipation. Anticipation for tomorrow's hot pot, anticipation for every day ahead. Anticipation for the version of myself that had finally learned to love herself. Lu Sikhen stood at the airport exit, watching the car disappear from sight. He pulled out his phone, wanting to make one more call, but he knew that number had long been unreachable. He crouched down, burying his head in his hands. People came and went all around him. No one spared him a second glance. Tears streamed through his fingers, falling to the ground. This time, no one turned back. Chapter 10, moving on. 3 months later, Berlin Group Headquarters Tower, 38th floor. I sat in my office, a cup of coffee in hand, gazing out at the bustling central business district skyline. The city stretched before me, a sea of glass and steel, each building a monument to ambition and cold efficiency. A knock at the door. My assistant poked her head in, her voice hesitant. President Lin, there's a Mr. Lu here to see you. I set down the coffee cup, a faint crease forming between my brows. The ceramic clinked softly against the saucer. Which Mr. Lu? He says his name is Lu Siqing. I paused, the silence stretching for a few seconds. That name, I hadn't heard it in a long time. It felt like a ghost from another life, a chapter I'd already closed. Tell him I'm busy. But, my assistant hesitated, her voice dropping. He says if you won't see him, he'll wait downstairs until you do. I rose from my chair and walked to the window, peering down. At the building's entrance, a thin, gaunt figure stood in the biting wind, his head tilted up, staring at the tower. 38 floors up. I couldn't make out his face, but the stubbornness in his posture was unmistakable, a raw, desperate clinging. President Lin, my assistant's voice was cautious, almost a whisper. Should I call security? I shook my head slowly, a quiet sigh escaping my lips. I picked up my phone and dialed a number. Qingyan, are you free tonight? I need you to come with me to meet someone. Half an hour later, in the cafe downstairs. I pushed open the door, the soft chime of a bell announcing my arrival. My eyes found Lu Siqing sitting by the window. He wore a black coat, but he was thinner than 3 months ago, his cheekbones sharp, his eyes sunken, his whole demeanor steeped in a heavy, unwashed decadence. He looked like a man who had been hollowed out. The moment he saw me enter, he shot up from his seat, nearly knocking over his coffee. The cup wobbled precariously before settling. Yuan, I walked over to him and sat down across the table. Qingyan settled at the table next to us, ordering an Americano and quietly scrolling through his phone, a silent, steady presence. Lu Siqing sat back down, his eyes locked onto mine, red-rimmed and glistening. Yuan, are you okay? I'm fine, I said, meeting his gaze. And you? He let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. The sound was hollow, empty. A few seconds of silence passed before he spoke again. I came to tell you that Song Qingqing's matter is completely resolved. She admitted the child isn't mine. She's signed the agreement. She won't bother you again, As for the company, I've resigned, and my pilot's license has been revoked. I froze, a flicker of surprise breaking through my calm. Why? Because my mental state didn't pass the evaluation. He laughed at himself, a sharp, self-deprecating sound. 3 months ago, in the VIP corridor at the airport, I saw you, and him. He glanced at Qingyan at the next table, a flicker of pain crossing his eyes. After that day, I couldn't fly anymore. Every time I got on a plane, my hands would shake. I'd want to cry. The company grounded me, sent me for a psychological evaluation, and I failed. I didn't know what to say. The words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. Yuen, he looked up, tears shimmering in his eyes. I'm not asking you to come back. I know you already have someone. He looked at Qingyan again, who nodded politely before returning to his phone. I just wanted to tell you. He took a deep, shuddering breath. That I was wrong. I was truly wrong. In my whole life, the thing I regret most is losing you. I looked at him, and in my heart, there was nothing, no pity, no satisfaction, no lingering ache, just a vast, quiet stillness. Lu Siqing, I said softly, let the past be the past. But, no buts, I cut him off. Between us, it ended the moment you lied to me. These past few months, I've been doing well. You should look forward too. He lowered his head, his shoulders trembling. A single tear splashed onto the table. After a long moment, he raised his head, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Yuen, can I ask you one last question? Go ahead. If I hadn't lied to you back then, if I had told you about Song Qingqing right away, if I had handled it properly from the start, would things have been different? I thought for a moment, the question settling in my mind like a stone in still water. Then I answered him, my voice steady and clear. Yes. His eyes flickered with a brief, fragile light. But that only exists in if. I continued, the reality is, you didn't. So losing me was inevitable. The light in his eyes dimmed, snuffed out like a candle in the wind. I stood up, looking down at him. Lu Siqing, take care of yourself. Then I turned and walked toward Qingyan. Qingyan rose, naturally taking my bag from my hand, his arm wrapping around my waist with a gentle, possessive warmth. Let's go. The car's outside. We walked out of the cafe, side by side. Behind us, Lu Siqing sat motionless, a statue frozen in time, stepping out of the cafe. The sunlight was warm and golden, washing over the street like a gentle embrace. Qingyan opened the car door for me, and I slid inside. He walked around to the driver's seat, started the engine. He cried, Qingyan said, his voice flat, observational. You didn't look back. He smiled, reaching over to take my hand in his fingers intertwining with mine. What do you want for dinner? Let's cook at home. I'm a bit tired. Okay, I'll buy the groceries. You cook. I turned to look at him. He was focused on the road ahead, his profile sharp and handsome in the afternoon light. This man, he was introduced to me by Lin Shihong, a attorney lawyer, running his own firm, 3 years older than me, gentle, reliable, emotionally steady. The first time we met, he had said, Miss Lin, I know about your past. I don't mind it. I only care about the future. At that moment, I thought, this person might be the right one, and time proved me right. These 3 months, he had been with me through the divorce proceedings, helped me restart my career, walked with me as I slowly crawled out from under the shadow of the past. He never pushed, never pried. He just stayed, quietly, patiently. Sometimes I think, maybe this is what real love is. Not possession, not deception, not only knowing regret after losing, but respect, trust, companionship. The car pulled up in front of my apartment building. Qingyan went to park the car. I went inside first to prepare. The elevator door slid open, and there, standing in the hallway, was a figure holding a bouquet of flowers, grinning from ear to ear. Sun Yan, sister, happy birthday. I blinked, momentarily stunned. It took me a second to realize it was my birthday today. How did you get here? Of course I came to celebrate your birthday with you, Qingyan told me. She leaned in, her voice dropping to a playful whisper. And he said he's planning a surprise for you tonight. I laughed, taking the flowers from her hands. Come in. Then, Qingyan came up after parking, carrying a large bag of groceries. The 3 of us squeezed into the kitchen, washing vegetables, chopping ingredients, stir-frying, a chaotic, joyful mess. Sun Yan hacked at the vegetables with wild abandon, her cuts uneven and clumsy, while Qingyan stood beside her, offering guidance. They bickered back and forth like children, their voices rising and falling in a familiar, comforting rhythm. I stand in front of the stove, stirring the vegetables in the wok. The sizzling sound fills the kitchen, but my ears are tuned to their voices, laughing, teasing, chatting in the living room. A smile tugs at the corners of my lips. I can't help it. It just stays there, warm and stubborn. Outside the window, the city lights flicker on one by one, like scattered stars descending to earth. The twilight deepens, and the sky turns a soft indigo. My phone buzzes, a message from my mom. Yuen, happy birthday. Come home for dinner tomorrow. I'll make you dumplings. I typed back a single character. Okay, Then another buzz. Lin Jihong, little sis, happy birthday. I sent your gift to the company, remember to pick it up tomorrow. I reply, thanks, bro. Then a third message, an unfamiliar number, Yuan, happy birthday, may you be happy forever, Lu Sikhen. I glance at it, my thumb hovers for a moment, then I delete it. I slip the phone back into my pocket and return to the stir-fry. The oil crackles. The aroma rises. Big sis. Sun Yan runs over, her footsteps pattering against the floor. Did the food burn? No, it's just right. I'll carry it. She fumbles with the plate, nearly tipping it over. Qin Yan catches it just in time, his hand steady and sure. Careful, he says, his voice low and gentle. Oops, my bad. The dishes are laid out on the table. The three of us sit together, the warm glow of the overhead light pulling around us. Sun Yan raises her glass. Come on, a toast to big sis. Happy birthday, may you stay 18 forever. Qin Yan lifts his glass, a soft smile on his lips. Happy birthday. I raise mine too. Thank you. The glasses clink together, a crisp, clear sound that seems to hang in the air for a moment. Outside the window, the city's nightscape is beautiful. The lights stretch out like a river of gold inside. The warm light shines on the three of us. I suddenly remember a year ago today, I sat alone in that empty house, waiting for Lu Sikhen to come home for dinner. I waited all evening. The food grew cold, the cake melted, and then a message came. Something came up. I'll be back late. Back then, I thought that was just how marriage was. Now I understand. That wasn't normal. That was not being loved. When someone doesn't love you, they let you wait alone. When someone doesn't love you, they lie to you for 2 years. When someone doesn't love you, they only regret it after you've already walked away. But none of that has anything to do with me anymore. I have a new life, new people, a new version of myself. Big sis, Sun Yan suddenly asks, her voice cutting through my thoughts. What are you thinking about? I snap back to the present. A smile spreads across my face. Thinking about what to eat tomorrow. She laughs. All you think about is food. Come on, let's have cake. Qin Yan bought it. He says it's amazing. The cake is brought out. Candles are placed and lit. The tiny flames flicker, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Sun Yan turns off the lights. In the dim room, the three of them look at me, their faces lit by the candlelight. Make a wish. I close my eyes. What should I wish for? Good health, a smooth career, for things to stay good with Qin Yan. I think about it for a moment, then I smile. I don't need to wish for anything, because everything I have right now, this is already the best. I open my eyes. I blow out the candles. Sun Yan claps her hands. Yes, time for cake. The lights come back on. Qin Yan cuts the cake, and Sun Yan hovers nearby, waiting to grab the first piece. I watch them, and a warmth spreads through my chest. It feels like sunlight trapped inside my ribs. My phone buzzes again, a news notification. Former Kyushu Airlines Captain Lu Sikhen successfully transitions, establishes aviation consulting company. I glance at it, then I swipe it away. I go back to eating my cake. Outside the window, in the night sky, an airplane is descending, its lights blinking against the darkness. I watch it, and I remember the day I left on a plane a year ago. Back then, I thought leaving was about running away. Now I know, leaving was about finding a better version of myself. Big sis, this biggest piece is for you. Sun Yan pushes the cake toward me. I take it. I take a bite. The cream is sweet, so sweet it reaches all the way into my heart. Is it good? It's good. He smiles, and the fine lines at the corners of his eyes carry a tenderness that feels like home. I look at his smile, and the line I once read floats into my mind. Everything you lose will come back to you in another form. It turns out, that's true. The end.